is here. By golly. He's just looking at me, egging it on.
You did such a good job last time. I was very impressed.
I defer to the mayor. I humbly request that the mayor take the
Try.
I nominate our mayor to be the chair today.
I second that nomination.
I wanted to be.
Now you're calling for nominations the second time?
Calling this for nominations a third time. Seeing no other nominations, Mayor Cox, you are now chair by acclamation.
All right. First item of business. Very well.
I know she did accept it though.
First item of business is the adoption of the agenda. Are there any items on the agenda of which there is one?
I move that we adopt the agenda with the addition of the addendum.
I move that we have adoption of the agenda with the inclusion of the addendum for 5B8, which is local advocacy grants in lieu.
And are there any other additions to the agenda? There being none, all in favor as amended? Carried. Next item of business, there are no scheduled delegations and public delegations. Are there any public delegations? Seeing none, we will move to the Protective Services report. I believe it's not a report this time, it's the idling control bylaw.
Evening, Council. Hello.
You want to walk us through this?
Motion.
We need a motion. Councillor Tanaka? This is a bylaw.
The council received the idling control bylaw 08-2016 for information.
This was sparked by a couple public complaints regarding exhaust fumes being sucked into the old hospital. That's what started this, and after discussing with the supervisor of maintenance at the hospital, he indicated that there is a problem that he feels that it could be caused by the big rigs parked on the highway. He wasn't confirming that, but there could be other vehicles also parked within the parking lot of the hospital. But there is a problem, he said. It's not a continuous, but it happens in the wintertime, obviously, when the vehicles are idling. He says on average maybe six to 8 times over the course of the winter that it is a problem. He says it takes roughly 2 to 2.5 hours for the system to flush it, to get back to normal breathing air, I guess you want to call it that. So this is why I put the budget together, or the bylaw together. The budget comes later, yeah. And this obviously this is at discretion of council and enforcement services as to where we deem problem areas for this idling. It's right now it's basically the hospital that's the problem area right now. The old hospital. The new hospital, we're not going to know that until they move move in there and then they start to figure out if it is gonna be a problem or if not. It's hard to say. But, this is also just a recommendation. I put in there, no idling within 150 meters of the property of the hospital. So I would say that whole block between 47th and 46th be posted as no idling. Plus I put in here, obviously there's gonna be vehicles that are, in the wintertime, we're gonna have to warm up. So I put in there too to say that only 15 minutes within a 60-minute period can a vehicle idle for that 15 minutes. But that too, that's just a suggestion. I've looked at other bylaws in the surrounding areas and they have, some have 5 minutes, some have 10, but it's whatever.
I'm gonna go around. So we'll start with Councilor Tanaka. Comments?
I guess when I first initially read this, is this an enforceable bylaw? Because you're gonna have, on the highway there, you're gonna have, the vehicles parking, you're gonna give them a fine, they don't pay. What's our recourse to get that fine, depending 7,500, whatever it is? What's our recourse to get that fine?
It goes through the courts. The courts, if they fight it, and obviously if they do fight it, then it has to go to court. It goes to trial. It'll be up to the judge whether they can argue the fact that they have the right to idle their vehicle. Like, it's my thing is, what's more important, having your truck idle for hours on end, or have somebody in the hospital that's sick having to suck or breathe in these fumes? Like, it's, I don't know. Our recourse is it'll go to trial. The judge will have the final word.
Okay, my next thing is could this be something that could be brought up with that traffic coalition?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
To do, as we're in the spring now, or, and whatever, the idling should be non-existent, but they could work towards education, training to get people not to do that.
I think this bylaw is, I'm gonna walk up, or Eric is gonna walk up to a trucker and say, can you please shut your truck off because the exhaust is going in? Some might, with some people that have a care of somebody else's well-being, say, yeah, okay, sure. But some are gonna look at me and say, yeah, no. And obviously it's their choice, right? But if we have it signed, we have a bylaw that's passed, we have the discretion. We can educate them. We can say, this is the bylaw. You can see that sign that's posted. Can you please shut your truck off? That's an educational part. We don't have to ticket. We can educate. But it's there if we need it. If it's a continuous infraction, then we have the opportunity to charge and lay a fine. But obviously, probably, 8 to 10 months, it's not going to be an issue because they're going to be at the new hospital. And from what I can tell, it might not be an issue there. But we have it in, if the council passes it, then we have it in place. We can use it if we need it. But
So enforcement was one issue. I'm assuming we'd have to look at signage and putting signs up saying no idling zones, et cetera.
yes.
In front of the hospital, which is right close to an intersection with a crosswalk, plus a school zone, is that not a no parking area on the highway?
Nope, there's parking.
Is that a possibility of remedying it by creating a no parking zone there?
Oh, yes, that's an option too, yeah.
Even though we have trucks that park along the yellow lines all through town. But I mean, at least that's an option. And,
Yes.
And
Yes,
so if we were to, what's the process of making that a no parking zone? Do we have to go through ministry and talk to transportation and all that stuff and then paint the curbs orange and yellow or whatever?
That, I'm thinking, yeah, we'd probably have to talk with transportation.
Okay,
Just for the fact that they control Highway 2.
that's right.
But
I mean, given the tough economic times, I mean, I don't want it to be any harder for people who are driving rigs for a living, but at the same time, when you look at it from an environmental standpoint as well as a health issue, it makes sense to have an idling bylaw. There's some areas that don't even allow you to idle through Tim Hortons drive-throughs. If it's a lineup, you turn your car off and you wait until your turn to move. So I think we're just catching up with the rest. We're not creating something new, and it makes sense. I'm in support of it.
plus there's exemptions here. Obviously, there's going to be some issue or circumstances that prevent or need the vehicle to be running at the time. So there are exemptions. But
Councillor Panasic?
Just had a couple of thoughts on this. Do we know where the air intake is in the hospital and if this is really causing the problem, or is it problems from their parking lot that's causing the problems?
yeah, I'm not exactly sure where that would be, Councillor.
Because it just seems like when I look at the hospital, I don't see any big air vents at the front side of the hospital, so I would doubt that that's what it's causing it. That's my first suspicion. So we create a no idling thing, and the problem is probably more in the parking lot area.
Oh, and I agree with you too. It's not totally semi-trucks parked on the highway. I believe it's probably a portion of that plus the parking lot.
Yeah, and the parking lot, who controls that? The AHS has the control to.
Yes, and I guess if it was that big of an issue, they'd be posting on that too. But yeah, I'm not sure where the intake is, Brian.
Okay, so we don't know if this is going to solve the problem. In other words, it's just a thought.
Yeah.
Okay. The other thing that when I read the bylaw, I thought. You talk about a hospital zone, you talk about the highway and you define those things, but then nowhere in here does it say this is where you want to enforce a no idling zone. It's just left wide open, and if we want to create one zone, then we should identify that in the bylaw.
It's identified like in the town limits. So
the whole town.
it's anywhere in the town limits. Council feels that there's an issue or a problem. It's not specifically that area. It could be the schools, or it could be I don't know, the museum, or what I mean. It's a town limits.
So you're just saying that it's within the town limits, but we'd have to identify no idling zones or within the town if we wanted any. And the only one that we're identifying right now that we might want would be the hospital, and we don't know if that's needed or not.
Right.
Yeah, with that, I get the idea of a no idling bylaw. That's not new. That's in a lot of communities. So I can see the benefit of that, but it'd be nice if we had a specific area because if we have a bylaw and we're not enforcing it, somebody's parked outside their house and it's idling for more than 15 minutes and we're not enforcing it, then what's the idea of the bylaw, right? We should either be, it's got to be a no idling zones. That's what I would say.
And that's where the town limits, if we get specific, then every time we get a complaint, then we're gonna have to amend the bylaw. Whereas right now, it's the town in general. So if we deem no idling there, then it's covered. It's within the town limits. If we wanna put it over by the schools, then
Well, no, then it's everywhere, right? So I can't park outside my house and idle for more than 15 minutes, is what you're saying.
if it's signed, if there's no sign, then it's no problem. It's gotta be signed. For the fact that people have to know that this zone, this area is no idling. If there's no, but it can be, if you want, if we can or identify each area or zone within the bylaw.
Councillor Courtly?
Originally, I was on side Alan, but I know even my trucks idling, they're with the urea technology now on the trucks. There's no toxic fumes coming out of the exhaust, by the way. So as far as smelling, we run them in the shop now.
Yep.
And we don't have fumes. So there might be the odd truck still kicking around that has
the older.
pre-urea.
Yeah, the older ones, yeah.
Few and far between now because they're getting outlawed.
Yep.
So as far as exhaust fumes and smell, it's been a long time since I've smelled exhaust. So I don't know, because those laws are in place on the truckers in general.
Mm-hmm.
The idling issue is almost gone because the toxins are taken out of the exhaust. You know that.
Yeah.
And a lot of times these trucks have to idle for more than an hour at high idle, so they can burn off. And even when it burns off, there's no toxins, right? So, if you're just directing this directly at the truckers,
I'm not.
okay, but that's what it started out as in my mind.
Well, that was the
right?
complaint. Yeah.
That was the complaint.
And
but,
yeah.
But that's where I'm saying that one or two guys in front of a Miros that are having lunch or something, having their truck run for an hour while they're having a coffee and a BS, I don't think that would impede the hospital's fresh air intake. That I think, if I'm not mistaken, is on the back side of the hospital. And that's something that we should actually look into first and foremost before we go any further, is where they do draw that fresh air from.
Well,
I do understand where hours of idling, excessive idling, where it's just in the running. There could be a noise bylaw maybe for idling, but I know a lot of times we have to run our trucks outside. We run them through the night because the guys are sleeping in them. Mm-hmm. At 30 below, we'll just run them because it's easier on the systems.
Oh, I understand that too.
So
definitely, yeah.
And so they'll run all night sitting out there with them sleeping in them. So it's something that, to me, as a trucker in this area, would be very hard to work with and work around a lot of times. So that's my viewing on that. Thanks.
Councillor Gilroy?
Just a couple things. Councillor Panesic just brought up the point that the property maybe behind the hospital is AHS, and if so, has that maintenance supervisor or that you talked to from the hospital, has he approached AHS about doing something about this?
He never mentioned anything about that to me.
If it's AHS property, I believe he probably should be talking to someone there about that. Secondly, I love the fact that you're between a rock and a hard place. Because in a sense, you have people asking you to do this, and then you have us also looking at different things. And I appreciate the fact you did this. I really do. In here it says, any other locations deemed necessary by enforcement services or council. And when I was reading this over, I was thinking, gee, how many places in town do people idle so much? When I come out of the TD Bank sometimes, I'm at a whiff of someone who has not serviced their vehicle properly. Sometimes when there's multiple places within the community where you are bombarded with idling, especially as the mayor once told me, this is a winter community. And so we will get that. So I guess my question here is, if it's also considered just a winter inconvenience for them where this is happening for the health, and we really don't want to also impede some business, my question would be, when this season's over, how much time is there overlap before the hospital would open? Because it seems to be a Highway 2 thing more than a hospital thing. And obviously the new hospital's further back from Highway 2, so truckers parking along there would not be as much of a concern. So
I'm not sure what, I think he indicated that January would be the takeover or moving period for the old to the new. So, yeah, it's going to be probably 4 to 5 months. But yeah, it's.
Okay, the complaint was brought forward by one of the people that is in the ICU unit in the hospital. He's extremely sick, and he is complaining that people are parking just outside the ICU unit on that road, which is right next to ICU in the old hospital. The noise and the banging of the doors opening and shutting at 4 in the morning are quite loud, and he's complaining and saying that how is this possible that we're supposed to be in a quiet area and yet all of this noise is waking different patients in the ICU up? And it would not be just ICU, it would be along the whole front of the hospital. There are a lot of sick patients in there. So he also says, and you talked to him, so you would know that the exhaust is sickening. It is, it's really being sucked in. Now, I can understand from talking to you all that you're right, probably the air intake is at the back of the hospital. I'm not mechanically inclined. I'm trying to visualize where that air intake would be. It probably isn't on the top of the hospital on the flat roof. That's probably air exhaust. But in saying that, is there anything we can do about the noise component, which is basically vehicles parking on the north side of Highway 2 in that hospital?
Parking on the north side.
They're on the north side of Highway 2. Highway 2 is running east and west.
Yeah.
So it's on the north side, and
No
they're
overnight
parking.
So no overnight parking in front of the area, would that be?
Go ahead.
Oh, I believe it's covered in our noise bylaw, but to enforce, so, yeah, it would have to be posted like a quiet zone, hospital quiet zone, and then enforcement would be a nightmare, I think, but we'd have to sit there and just with our windows open, and if we heard it, then I don't. It's a courtesy of a trucker. Like if he sees it's posted quiet zone, then they might just move on or move down the block, and, but, I don't know.
What does our noise bylaw say?
Oh, I'd have to,
Okay, enforcement of the noise bylaw, is it only the protective services, or does the RCMP also enforce that?
they can enforce it too, yes, the RCMP can.
Okay, so maybe that would be the best effort to do, rather than this idling bylaw, is to post it, quiet zone, and enforce it between you and the RCMP. And I think that that would get rid of most of it would be a fast mover rather than waiting to go through this idling bylaw. Councillor Gilroy.
What would be the negative impact if we actually just put it for that stretch, or any particular stretch that you think, no overnight parking, because it is a highway. I mean, it's not like we have a pullover, you know, so if we had a no parking from whatever time the restaurant closes, I guess, until morning, would that change anything so that they wouldn't be having trucks there?
Well, we have a quiet time between 10 and 7, I believe.
Well, I'm thinking of no parking, you can't park
Well-
it up there. You can park it somewhere else, but.
Yeah, that would be, obviously, it would be a deterrent to keep people from overnight parking, yeah, but it'd have to be posted, obviously, so the truckers know, or whoever whatever. I'm not,
I gotta remember a time when trucks parked there and then you had to go to the hospital. I'm just saying. I've never seen a truck park there. And I'm on that highway all the time. Just saying. Still haven't. Have you ever seen a truck parked in front of the hospital? On that street?
I've been scratching it.
I'm just,
yeah, and
I don't know. This is crazy.
My concern, though, is that when we're talking about idling and parking zones, the stretch by Peavine and the Peavine Inn, which is right close to the new hospital, that may end up posing a problem because there's trucks that park there quite a bit. Again, from a health perspective, from an annoyance perspective, from a parking perspective, but again, from an environmental perspective, and greenhouse gases, and all of that. I think a no idling bylaw makes sense. This may not be the bylaw, but I think it's a step in the right direction, and it's getting a discussion going on what we deem as appropriate and acceptable and what isn't. And in today's society, letting your car idle for 15, 20 minutes before you get to work isn't really necessary, you know, and the cars are one thing, diesel's another. I support the idea of, just from an environmental standpoint, I support that idea of having a no idling bylaw. I see problems coming down the road for the new hospital if this is an issue, though.
Okay, the motion is to receive for information. Do you have had enough discussion on it? Is there anything else that anybody wants to bring up? All right then, so receive for information. All in favor? Opposed? All right, what do you want done with this idling bylaw? Do you want it brought back again? Do you want any changes made to it? The ones that have received it for information?
can I,
Yes?
Sorry. Can I talk to the supervisor again and check out where the actual intake is
Okay,
and see what his thoughts are?
yes. Bring us back more information. I actually agree that the idling bylaw is a step in the right direction. We have had complaints about truckers that are idling their vehicles in different areas of the town over the winter, and perhaps that this is a good first step. So, thank you for the time you've taken to present us with this and give us some thought on it.
Okay.
as for the noises, the complaint that we have had, does council want to do anything about that complaint at this time? Are we directing Protective Services to do anything through the acting CAO? Are we? I mean, this is a complaint that has arisen twice now. The gentleman, yes.
I can bring it up at our next traffic safety coalition and see what the outcome is there, or suggestions, I guess.
Okay, and is the noise bylaw in town, it's quiet between 10 and 7?
Yes.
How is that enforced?
On complaint, with the public complaints, and we talk to the problem area, resident, whatever it may be.
I'm not sure if that's going to solve that problem, in the sense that different councillors have said there does not appear to be trucks parking along that area, and yet we've had the complaint twice that there is. So, any suggestions from councillors? Councillor Panasic?
Well, we have a noise bylaw in place. Probably got a nose one too. Got to have a certain kind of nose. No, but I would. I mean, maybe being that there's been a couple of complaints from that one area, and it's noise. Then if it's noise, then as a peace officer, we can keep an eye on that area to see what's causing the noise and try to address it. I mean, if it's truckers parked out there and this person knows what time, we can go around at those times. But like I say, I haven't seen many trucks parked there either. I suspect, again, with both the exhaust issue, and I think it's at the back of the building also, and the noise might be more of staff getting in and out of their vehicles, maybe to go have a cigarette or something, but it might not be the truckers out there.
It could even be vehicles going past. Like there is a repair, the water line break right at that emergency area, and big trucks going by there. Not only big trucks, but people with trailers or stuff. And that's going to be a noisy every time they go over that.
They use my Jake brake going through
Okay,
I got it right
so
away.
with the noise bylaw, because we have one, could you let our RCMP counterparts know that we would like more enforcement of that noise bylaw in that zone?
Okay, I will. Yes.
All right.
Perfect.
All right then we will move on. Thank you very much. We appreciate you coming.
Let's pick on the truckers. Eh? Yeah.
Bring it
Yeah.
down, you can. Eat it smoke.
Yeah.
Bring it down.
Okay, welcome to Mr. Walker, Public Works Report. Could I have a motion, please? Councillor Long?
Council received March 2016 Public Works Report for information from Mr. Vernon Walker.
Thanks, Council. Basically, the highlight is we're almost to the final stages of getting our water approval approved for another 10 years. We met with Alberta Environment. The ad went in the paper, so if we have anybody opposed to it, they have 30 days to state their concerns. But when we met with Alberta Environment last week, they see no issues in renewing that, and that's the big one. There will be something being added to the capital budget. The river pump that came out of the water last year has got a $23,000 repair bill. The cost of a new one is $56,000. This pump is 20 years old. It's going to be my recommendation to council to bypass the repair and just purchase new, which would have warranty. And I'll entertain any questions.
Councillor Danaka?
I just have a question regarding dealt with garbage complaints. Are we having issues with the garbage collection again? Or is
Once
it
in a
something
while,
else?
but it's not near to the effect that it was before. Yeah. They've improved significantly.
Councillor Long?
Nope, nothing.
Councillor Panasic?
Yeah, I had that marked down too. What are you getting as garbage complaints? I'm wondering what you're getting.
Some of the stuff where the cats get into the bags prior to that, we'll go over and we'll clean up the mess, obviously, because it's on the thing, boulevard or in the back alley, so it doesn't blow all over town. And just the odd mixed bag. Not anything like it was.
Okay.
There was several residents that were phoning it Mondays and Thursdays.
I was also wondering what the 2016 gas meter change program is. What does that mean?
Under the rules of Measurement Canada, you have to change out the gas meters every, was 7 years, and now they've dropped it to 5 years. But the cost difference between renewing a gas meter and the cost of purchasing a new one, which is good for 10 years, we're moving to buying new and replacing them. So that gives us a 10-year period before they need to be recertified.
Okay.
But it's mandated that you have to change them out.
Okay.
And different meters have different timelines.
And the gas meter reader knows the difference between the new gas meters and how to read them?
Well, that was a decimal place error, and it's just, when it was brought to our attention, we corrected the problem. Unfortunately, it didn't work in our favor.
Okay. No, that was it.
Councillor Corley?
Oh, good job. Thank you.
Councillor Gilroy?
No, this is a very good job.
Mayor, if you could, just in
Yes.
support of the meter reader, it wasn't necessarily her fault. We did contact the company that supplied that meter and asked for them. They actually sent us a picture and said, here's where the decimal point is. And we followed that advice from the people that provided that, so that's been since cleared up.
Yeah.
We did take it back to the company, and they admitted they made a mistake when they advised us originally.
Does everybody know what happened there? Or?
No, can you explain it?
Well, I was, when we were signing checks, we gave out a $60,000 check to Joe Courtley Trucking. And when I was signing this, went, oh, what's that for? And so I got informed that it was because we, as a town, had misread the gas meters. And then there was one other.
Not misread.
Oh, okay.
Decimal place.
Decimal place.
Yeah, the readings are fine.
Yeah, the readings are fine. Decimal is in the wrong spot. And then it happened also in one other business. It totaled just about $100,000 that we had to give back. So our budgets will not look quite as promising as they would have a little while ago.
It was an overbilling, is what it amounted to.
And they never complained?
That's what brought it to our attention.
Oh.
We were happy taking in that money.
You're signing it.
And I would also mention to council, last week we had the street sweeper out starting to clean up the area. Until this week, it got parked again. And we have been doing spot pothole repairs, and we'll continue that right till spring or we run out of material.
This hole by the hospital, what, as the Protective Services was saying, can you fill that in anymore, or what can you do there?
What happens when we use Fillcrete is you get 100% compaction. And it's actually, that excavation is not moving, it's the heaves of the rest of the highway. So
No point filling it in, yeah.
we'll touch it up in the summertime again, because there will be some, but I went through this in 2004 when we did a street improvement program, and I went back on the engineers and said, look at this. This is absolutely disgusting. The edge of the curb and gutter is already settling. And he says, that's not moving anywhere. It's the rest of the road that's lifting or moving, because it doesn't have 100% compaction there. So. Yeah.
All right then. Any other questions from any of the councillors? Do we have a motion then to accept the report as presented? All in favor? Thank you.
Thank you.
Streets clean before the provincials, that made a good impression.
That and they're getting washed now.
Yeah. Wash, yeah.
All right. Next item is the regular meeting of council minutes. Could I have a motion to Councillor Panasic?
Yeah, the council approved the minutes from the
March 8th, 2016 regular meeting of council as presented.
And Councillor Gilroy, you had a question?
I'm just curious, can a counselor who is not present at the meeting do it? I thought it would
That's
have
a
to be
good
someone who
point.
was there,
No.
because they're the only ones who know what went on.
No, everybody gets a chance to read it, any errors or omissions. All he's doing is moving that it be approved.
Okay.
So there being no, Councillor Danaka?
Just a spelling mistake on public delegations, Louise Meyer. Her last name is M-Y-R-E, not M-E-Y-E-R-S.
Page?
16.
M-Y-R-E.
M-Y-R-E.
Okay.
Any other errors or omissions? Then can we have a motion to approve as amended? And we have a motion already
Yeah.
as amended. All in favor? Carried. Next item is the finance. It is the bylaw 5/2016 fees bylaw. And who is speaking for us? Can I have a motion then on a bylaw? Councillor Long?
The council provide first reading of bylaw 5/2016, the fee bylaw.
And could you speak to it?
I'll speak to this, Your Worship. So basically, this is the fees bylaw coming back. When we did the original reading of the bylaw, 1/2016, it was pointed out by the fire chief that there was a couple of fees that were incorrect in there. So we said we would bring it back with those fees corrected. Additionally, when we passed the original bylaws, we said we would pass those. We would take out all references to fines and penalties, that they would remain back in the original bylaws, and then any reference to any fees or costs would be struck from those bylaws and referred to the fee bylaw. So this is the first of two bylaws tonight. This is the fee bylaw with the corrected fire department rates that I got from Fire Chief Melnick. And then again, also having taken out the references to some of the other items. So they have been highlighted, strikeouts, etc. for council's reference. There's no real change to anything except to those items that are identified as being changed.
Questions? Councillor Gilroy? Councillor Courtly?
No question. Good.
Councillor Panasic?
Just one question. I was wondering about the new rates and how those were picked. Are these provincial rates, Ken, or that's?
No, or transportation, and they had an increase just before Christmas. They increased the rates. They were 600 and they went up to 650.
That's what, okay.
Just following the provincial rates.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Long? Councillor Danaka?
Nothing.
All right. So when you say this is the first of two bylaws, are you saying that there will be another fees bylaw, or is this it?
No, this, and then the next bylaw on the agenda is the fire protection bylaw. So it's related to what's happening with this one. So we're updating that fire protection bylaw by removing the fees out of there. Do the two hand in hand.
So this fees bylaw now contains, as far as you're aware, all of the fees that the town of High Prairie has in any other bylaw?
That's correct. We did that when we did the reading of 1/2016.
Okay. So if anyone wants to know where we are making money,
Basically, yes,
fees.
and it helps the staff at the front of the desks when somebody comes in and needs to pay for something. We have the fees there as well. And then also for council going forward, when it comes time to do the budget, council can take this bylaw, review it complete in its entirety, and then basically see with the administration where the changes may be required or where maybe we've been charging too much. But it's all in one place, one-stop shopping.
okay. I notice here that the yearly license fee, and I could be wrong, but wasn't that set out as a quarterly rate
Which yearly license fee, sorry?
for pets, dog licensing and fees?
No, that bylaw was not passed.
Okay. And the other one that I'm interested in is the hawkers on page 2 of 7 of your bylaw. At what point do we get a chance to review bylaws and say we want this increased?
As I stated, this would be something that, when we looked at the bylaw the last time, it's probably, I think we've got a resolution on the books to bring it back to the first meeting in September to review all of this, because then those changes would take effect for the 1st of January the following year. So if we're looking at business licenses, the whole fee system for 2017, animal licenses, everything that would be reviewed in September, council can then go through them line by line and make their decisions.
Okay, so from now until September, this should be kept around by councillors, and when you think of a fee that you're being questioned on, make a note, because the time comes to review it, you're going to forget what you had thought was a reasonable amount. All right then, since we have no questions, comments, or anything like that, we have a motion for the first reading of the bylaw. All in favor? It's carried. Councillor Long?
That council provides second reading of bylaw 5-2016, the fee bylaw.
All in favor? That one is carried. And is number 3 the right way, or is it number 4?
That was
first?
number 3.
Number 3
That
first.
way, if you put them together, if you defeat then you don't get unanimous consent, you also defeat the bylaw. So you take this one separately from third reading.
So we're going with council proceed to third reading.
Yes. Highlighted and bolded quotations.
Councillor Danak?
The council proceed to third reading of bylaw 5-2016, the fee bylaw.
All in favor? Okay, that motion was to proceed, and now we go to motion number 4, Councillor Danaka.
If authorization to proceed to third reading receives unanimous consent, that council provide third reading to bylaw 5-2016, the fee bylaw.
All in favor? It's carried. So we now have a new fees bylaw. That was a lot of work, I'm sure, going through everything.
Basically, the work was all the last time, the bylaw 1/2016. This was just updating the items that have been changed and highlighted on page 26. So
good.
It's kind of nice now, because then as we start doing things, we bring something up to date, whether because of Alberta Transportation, that it's nice, simple, and easy. So hopefully.
All right, the next item is the bylaw 6/2016 fire protection bylaw. Councillor Panasic?
I move that council provide first reading to bylaw 6-2016, the fire protection bylaw.
Comments, questions? All in, Councillor Danaka?
I just have a question, and I thought I had found it here before. Any fire pit in town has to be approved by you, correct?
Either me or.
Okay, how many pits do you approve in a year? Because I'm sure there's pits out there that haven't been approved.
There's lots. We have, I would say, 50 pits that have permits for it.
And that's what I was looking for, because I'm sure I had seen it somewhere. So if I live in a house, I get you to approve my pit permit. That pit permit is good for me for the duration that I live in that premises, correct?
If
Okay.
you move, then it has to be, a
Okay.
new permit has to be taken out.
Okay, and then if I move, I have to get a new permit, or,
Yeah,
right?
If you move to a different.
I have to get, okay. Okay, I just wanted some clarification. Thank you.
Okay, if I may, just in the last few weeks here, Alan and Erica have been having problems with alarm pull stations being pulled, especially at the Prairie River Manor apartment building. And our bylaws have nothing in them that states any kind of fines or penalties for pulling the fire alarm pull station. So is there any way we can amend this bylaw like make an amendment to include a fine for pulling a fire alarm full station?
It'd be cleanest to do that at a future thing. Now, would that be turning in a false alarm?
Well.
'Cause we-
Yeah.
Yeah, because we do have it in there for false alarms and subsequent false alarms.
I'm also curious, isn't there a provincial legislation talking about pulling alarms?
There is fines, yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, it's covered there already. Provincially, it's a provincial law, I'm sure.
It is,
Yeah.
And that would probably stand better in court than a bylaw, I would suspect.
I don't mind.
Yeah, prosecution, what?
It's just been a problem for Alan and Erica. Just as of late, it's just been certain people in your apartment building, but they just think it's a big joke to pull a fire alarm. And the thing that gets me is they pull the fire alarm, and I don't know, it must be the manager that goes over there and silences the alarm before anybody gets there. And that's against the law, you're not allowed to do that, you're not allowed to silence an alarm, it's not in the code. You're not allowed to silence it until the fire department or a police officer, somebody's down there to check it out, to make sure that it's safe to silence it. We don't, our bylaws don't have anything for that.
I would suggest there you bring it, if you read the provincial, find out what the amounts are. If you don't think they're substantial enough, bring it back and we will get a bylaw with the, with what you feel is an adequate amount, especially since we're dealing with volunteers that are being pulled away probably from their night's sleep for the next day. And if it's a $75 fine, I think you probably want a little bit more after the second or third time. So, okay? Councillor Gilroy?
I'd probably also suggest that you talk to the owner of the building and let them know that if their manager is not aware of that particular provision in the law, that they should. And if they're, otherwise they will be held accountable for it because that is an infraction in the law.
The problem is the owner lives in Vancouver and the manager changes every 3 weeks or a month, they have a different manager. And it's just a never-ending process.
All the more reason to have our bylaw with quite high fees that will get the owner's attention, and he will educate his new manager quite quickly. Councillor Long?
No, I agree exactly with you. I think $300-400 in a night is somebody's life's gonna get killed with all this, and because somebody was an idiot.
So I would suggest minimum 1 hour charge.
Oh, there you go. Perfect.
Very logical.
I'll pass it on to Brian for the next amendment down there, and he can work it with Ken, the bylaws.
Okay.
Well, we also have the provincial one, and I'm sure the fines are hefty,
And see what the provincial regulations.
and we should be enforcing that now, right? Like, if that's going on, I wouldn't wait to find out. Get this taken care of. That's ridiculous. And the more you cry wolf, then nobody's going to leave their apartment when that's going off. And they can fingerprint that, and they can get who's doing it.
And if I can add one last thing, Ken, if there's any way we can hold the landowner responsible and make him the person who goes on the ticket, and that way it's going to go on to the next manager.
Well, yeah,
Get the dog out.
I'll do some more digging into it.
All right. Then the other remark was because the RCMP, yes, the sergeant said, at any time you need help, we'll get the dog here.
I lived in apartments long enough that we just rolled over and went back to sleep when we heard enough alarms.
Whoa. All right, we have first reading. Councillor Long?
That council provide.
Don't, we have a motion already for first reading, you're gonna go for second. All in favor of first? Carried. Councillor Long?
That council provides second reading to bylaw 6, 2016, the fire protection bylaw. So there.
All in favor? Carried. And third. Come on, you guys. I'm gonna keep looking over there. That's why I'm not looking here.
I got a cold.
Councillor Corley?
Okay, the council received the third reading by bylaw 6/2016, the fire protection bylaw, and
That's good. All in favor? It's
is
carried.
that better?
Councillor Gilroy,
About what?
you can step up and do number 4.
No, I was waiting for the next one.
Okay, Councillor Portley.
If authorization to proceed to third reading receives the unanimous consent, that council provide third reading to bylaw 6-2016, the fire protection bylaw.
All in favor? It's carried.
Thank you.
And the next item. Does anyone want a break yet? Okay. Terms of reference, Airport Advisory Committee.
I move that council approve the new terms of reference and have Mayor Cox and Reeve Matthews sign the terms of reference for the High Prairie Airport Advisory Committee.
Questions? Councillor Danaka? Councillor Long? Councillor Panasic?
No, I'll just make a comment, not a question, but there was terms of reference from the county. I know that the CAO went over it, and the members of the committee went over it, and this is the draft now that we've all sort of agreed upon, and is being taken to the county for approval and to us for approval.
Councillor Portley?
Sounds good.
Councillor Gilroy?
Just a couple of just comments from my point of view. So, for clarification purposes, the county hires the airport operator, I'm assuming, and each one of the 8 people have a vote, which would put us at 3 votes, sorry, 11 people, I guess, 8 people. Anyway, they would have a lot more votes, and our votes would be really not important, unless a quorum was needed. Is that right?
That's right.
Okay, and secondly, under the general responsibility, review the facility and its operations to ensure safe and efficient operation. Would that be that council reviewing their budget? They do have a budget for the airport?
Yes.
Okay, so that's under budget review? Okay, I just wanted to make sure that I understood what they meant by these things. Thank you.
Regarding the budget, although they are reviewing the budget, it still is forwarded to each of the councils for final approval. So they are not, they're not saying that we have to approve that budget. CAO?
That would be correct, and that's similar to with the, let's say, the rec board or any of those other boards.
Okay.
To the rec board?
And if you're interested in the committee structure, the reason it's structured like this is because the Big Lakes County is putting in what percentage?
90%.
So it's basically, they're paying most of it, so they wish to have the voting structure that they want. Okay? All right. There being no other questions, all in favor? It's carried. Yeah.
You missed the already.
Okay.
Okay, so the next item of business is the Seska Centennial Committee. We have a resignation already. Have you met yet?
No.
Oh, you haven't chased him away. Councillor Gilroy.
There you go.
I recommend that council receive the resignation letter from Megan Payne to resign from the Sesquicentennial Committee for Information.
She said it was your fault.
The alternate, of course, is always available. Councillor Danaka?
I don't know if it was missed, but there's no resignation letter in this package. So I kind of, to receive the resignation letter, it's not there, so we don't know what we're receiving.
Sorry.
What was the gist?
I didn't read it, but I think if we just change the wording there to receive the resignation of Megan Payne from the Sesquicentennial for information, based on the advice given by administration.
Okay, I'll go with that.
Okay.
So a friendly amendment
I was on the word letter. Yeah.
to Councillor Gilroy's.
Nancy, did you want to maybe speak to Megan's
Yeah,
reasoning?
she had just emailed saying that she realized her schedule was a lot busier than she had planned, so she didn't want to let the committee down.
Okay, so you can go ahead and, no, it wasn't you, because you haven't met yet. You guys, go ahead and meet, because you have your alternate, so you can, you would still have whatever you want.
And the Robert doesn't want to person.
Yep, they still are. Councillor Panassa?
I was just gonna say that the alternate is a council member, not a member at large. Would that alternate be a council member that attends or a member at large that attends?
We have an alternative member at large, Michael Smith.
Good to go.
You'd actually have a person there.
Yeah. Okay, perfect.
Did we vote on that?
No.
All in favor? It's carried. Next item is the letter of support for the Dolphins. Councillor Danaka.
The council directed administration to write a letter of support for the High Prairie Dolphin Swim Club for their application to the Community Initiatives Program grant application.
Questions? So you'll draft that letter and sign it?
Yes, Your Worship.
Okay.
Did you want me to sign? Did you want me to sign that, or have it prepared for your signature?
I think you should be able to sign it. It doesn't.
No problem.
Yeah, go ahead and sign.
Your parting gift.
Yeah. All in favor?
Put the right count on.
If it was coming from the county, there'd probably be money with it.
You did?
For what? For the vote? I think so.
Good. Okay, I didn't see it go up. I just was.
Oh.
Yeah. Okay. She just fast. All right. Next item is the 2016 Spring Amateur Rodeo. Could I get a motion? Councillor Danaka?
The council received the sponsorship request from the High Prairie Agricultural Society 2016 Amateur Spring Rodeo for information.
Councillor Gilroy, do you have any questions or comments?
Well, I'm glad she said for information, because I've expressed this in previous meetings. I am not comfortable knowing that this is still March, and we've spent 34 out of 43.5, and even today we've got 2 packages asking for $1,000 each. And this, as I said, this is just so. My concern is, can we, if we are to support this, and I noticed that they gave a financial, did they give a financial report on this one for the rodeo?
No.
No, it was the powwow one. Can we be looking at it the way we look at some of the other ones, in kind or a lesser amount? I'd be happy with.
Councillor Corley?
Yeah, I agree. This time, these days, it's we got to tighten up. And I don't know if we need to advertise in the rodeo. We can help them in other ways, maybe. In a kind situation, I think. Maybe with some other workload. That's my opinion.
I'm going to go around. Okay. Councillor Panasic?
Yeah, I was just, one of the things was, I was curious why Donna said no donations, because it sort of meets our criteria, so why wouldn't we? I mean, other than the fact, like I hear what you're saying, but we haven't divided our money up in any other way than to say when it's gone, it's gone. That's what we've been saying in the past. So that's, for right or wrong, that's been what we've been saying in the past. So I'm just curious, they meet the criteria. So what would be, why we wouldn't be approving? Just want to get this straight. Because we get these all the time and I want to get my head around why we accept them, why we don't.
Councillor Long.
Again, when we look at the rodeo, there's so many young kids that benefit from this. There's so many families that benefit from this. There's so many businesses that benefit from the rodeo in our community. Whether it's this rodeo or whether it's our big show, this town prospers from that and benefits from that, from the restaurants, the gas stations, etc. I would like to see a spot, even in the Mutton Bustin Mini Bucker, $300. Boy, I had to watch that one. And so it's $300, and there's 2 complimentary rodeo passes that we could provide to a family or to an organization who knows of a family that would be able to utilize it. I'd be willing to do the $300. I think we need to step up to the plate. Yeah, the times are tough. We do have some money, and it's frugal and it's fiscally responsible, and we're at least being a part of. And so if we were to look at something like the $250 or the $300 for the Mutton Bustin and Mini Bucker, I think that'd be a good thing to do. But I understand also that times are tough and that we are trying to be fiscally prudent.
Councillor Danaka.
In answer to Councillor Panasik's question about why my motion was for information, I look at this as the same as we did with the rodeo, in that we're sponsoring and we had passes to deal with, and we got completely out of that. There's nothing in here from them as to what kind of an in-kind donation we could do for them to still support them and have our flag as part of something, or the to be announced in different times during that event. So I don't know if it's something the council wishes to approach them and see if we can do an in-kind donation with them to still achieve the sponsors' banners or those kinds of things.
Mr. Walker, what kind of items could we do?
With the indoor rodeo, we in the past have not been involved with them from a public works perspective whatsoever. Possibly the advertising on our website, possibly some advertising on the town sign. I don't know what they require as far as what public works could do for them. With the Elks, it's a given with the banners and the parade and those types of things, right? So I couldn't answer that question.
I would tend to agree with exactly what you said, that the indoor rodeo is at the Stampede grounds in the Agriplex, and therefore they are using their own equipment, their own staff, their own volunteers to run it.
Yeah.
I can't really see, we're not doing traffic control, we're not cleaning parking lots, we're not doing really,
No.
We are unable to do any of that because this is a self-contained.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I just wanted to add one thing in. If we're looking at doing this out of our grants funding, then this was not brought in under a grants application. There is no budget attached with it. I just want to bring that to council's attention. So this is basically, I know we've gone through this before, but sponsorship grants, advertising is what they're looking for. Is they're looking for somebody to sponsor or to therefore get some advertising out of them. So if anything, this would probably be maybe an advertising budget, but if it was a grant, I think we still have regulations within our policy that we should be following.
And actually, this does fall under the definition of advertising, not grants.
Yeah,
So-
unless they were looking for a direct grant with the.
And they're
old-
not. They're
okay.
looking for an advertising. So, We don't really have an advertising budget. We were supposed to take our grant budget and hive off a portion for advertising, which we never did.
We, later on in the meeting, we do have this item for the budget meeting on agenda, and maybe we can bring this back to that meeting on April the 5th, if council decides to do the meeting at that time.
Oh, well there. I think for information would be a good first step, and on April, if we have a special meeting April 5th to go over the budget, we can actually say, okay, we're putting off this amount of money out of the $8,000 left for advertising. Councillor Gilroy?
Is it possible that we could also ask administration to contact them and see if we could do some sort of in-kind as well? So we could at least consider that during the budget ones? Like using the sign and little things like that we could also promote them with?
Yeah, Vernon, you can speak to them, can you? There's a contact name here. You have a better feel what we can provide that way.
We have a member of the Ag Society that works for us, so I can speak
Talk
with
to them? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks.
All right. So we have this as Councillor Portley.
So you're saying that actually we can put this through and not even, and not go into this account?
No.
As far as we put it under advertising?
If we set that up in the
Yeah.
budget when we do this
Right. Okay.
upcoming meeting.
Okay, thank you.
Where are you getting the advertising dollars from?
I haven't looked, I don't have a copy of the economic development budget in my pocket, but
Oh, all right. All right.
I know there has been money spent there before for advertising the town.
All right, so we'll discuss it further at that meeting. Just my one comment is on the 43,500, and we have spent 34,668. The vast majority of that usually comes in January, and it is for events that go all year round. So the $8,000 that's left is actually it's not a tremendously large figure, but there is no real call on that other than small community groups that are coming throughout the full year. Councillor Panassa?
And I think the other thing is we do a couple of big grants come out of this right at the start, like STARS, we give them, and so that all comes out at the start of the year. So it is front heavy. Just, yeah,
okay.
Those couple, STARS, and which other one? There was another big
There was a fund for the senior society for some renovations to their building, I believe, $8,080 or
Yes,
something.
that's it. So those are a couple.
Not the roof was last year, but I think this is for some interior renovations.
Okay, you'll get a list at the budget to see what it is. All right then, we have a motion to receive for information. All in favor? Opposed? Okay. Next item is, where am I? Application for grant, High Prairie Aboriginal Interagency. Could I have a motion? Councillor Courtly?
That council received a request for financial support / donation for $1,000 from the High Prairie Aboriginal Integracy for information.
Councillor Tanaka, do you have comments?
Other than the question as to why you would go for information, I was willing to support this, but not at the $1,000 within half of what they want with. Again, in my mind, I'm thinking like Councillor Gilroy is we're only in March. There's going to be other organizations coming down the line. That's my comment.
Councillor Long?
Having attended the first one, as a lot of us did, it was amazing, and it was well attended, it was well run, and really quite unique insofar as that it was indoors, and there was a lot of people that were concerned about not being out with nature to have the powwow, and as it turned out, at the end of the day, the people loved it. It was just a really, really, really good event. Again, it's bringing money, it's bringing big money into this town. And so we often talk about Treaty 8 and the ATCO tournaments and the other different tournaments. This is probably as big as. There was thousands of people coming in all day long. It was an amazing event, and I think this year it's going to be that much bigger. So, again, I think much the same as Councillor Tanaka, if we were to offer $500 instead of $1,000, and because it's in the arena, if there's some other things that we can offer as in kind, that'd be great.
Councillor Panasic.
Yeah, you know, it's a little bit like that with, you know, one person's calling it a grant and they want some money, and the other one's calling it a sponsorship, so we're saying no, you know, and I do get the fact that they don't want to call it a grant, so, you know, I have an issue with that to start with, where we're saying, oh, well, it's coming out of a different pot, so we can't really accept it. But on this one, and my thoughts are, basically, they were asking for being able to cover the Sports Palace rental. I noticed that last year we didn't contribute to this based on their income statement. But I think, you know, the county contributed 500, so if we contribute 500 this year and they do what they did last year, that would add up to the 1,000 that would cover the cost of the arenal rental. So I would be on board for 500.
Councillor Courtly.
I just, I didn't attend it. I wasn't there. I just,
We missed you.
you did? Well, thanks, Mike. Thank you. Thank you. I just put them together. I couldn't approve one and not the other for the simple fact it's the same reasoning. It's tough times. It's you know, it's one of those things. I know it's not cash out of our pocket. They're asking for rent, but it's something we would have made money on. So it is out of our pocket. So.
We end up giving a check to the rec board.
Oh, well, there you go. So there you go. So
You give it to you.
yeah, you give it to us.
It's your board.
So that's where I was basing that from. Was the one page I can't say yes and then no and no and yes. I was on no on both of them. So, but I do agree. I mean, if it's bringing people and it's affecting youth, we need to do something, but maybe not to that value. I just $1,000 is a lot. $500, like Brian said, is a good idea right now in my mind, maybe. So it's something that we should look at. Thanks.
Councillor Gilroy.
Yeah, I was looking at their income and expense, and it's nice to see they actually made some money for a change in there. But what I was looking at was what the bigger areas like the County Big Lakes gave, but also they had quite a few in-kind donations. And it's interesting to see, once again, if we're able to do some sort of in-kind, what dollar value would we put upon our in-kind? Because that may, if it's, say our in-kind's worth a couple $100, just for sake of, then with the extra money that we took back from the 1,000, it might actually add up to 1,000 if that's what they want. I mean, there's a flexibility here. Why do we have to do one or the other? Why we're a flexible council, we can probably do both and at lower levels and have it add up.
Okay, we're having, and I keep referring to this, we're supposed to be trying to have a budget meeting as of April 5th. This event doesn't take place until May 14th. We could move this to the April 5th meeting, because at that point we will have a better idea of what budget amounts that our acting CAO or treasurer can come up with for an advertising portion.
This isn't advertising.
You figure this is sponsored? This is a grant.
They've
This is a
actually
grant.
used their paperwork to application for support.
So grant, okay.
Yeah.
So this is not an advertising
No,
as
no
in.
banners going up the same time.
Okay, yep. So then let's move it as the information. We can go with that and we can discuss it further when we actually get to the budget on April 5th. Is there any objection to that? No? Okay.
Yeah, but I mean, that's the way it works, right? So.
I support you. I do. All right.
Go ahead, Mike.
Well, no,
All I'm saying is that, I personally would feel comfortable in supporting this $500 initiative this evening. I don't think it needs necessarily to go to the budget. But again, that's my position. So, the motion, should it be defeated and put forward to go to the budget deliberations, I would be opposed to that as well. Because I don't think I think it's a good thing, and it's vital to the town, and brings revenue into the town. It's money well spent on this one. And it just, so that's the way I'll be voting. Yeah.
So we have a motion to receive for information. All in favor? Opposed? Motion is carried. I would like it brought forward to the budget.
Well, I'd like to make a motion
Yes.
that we approve this for, this request for $500 from Legislative Services account number 2177, grants organizations/individuals in the 2016 and direct administration to make a check out payable to the High Prairie Recreation Board. 500.
Comments? Councillor Gilroy. Councillor Quartley.
So we're basically just paying half the rent. Then we're putting that up front, saying, no, we're not doing the 1,000, but we'll do 500. Pay half your rent for you. Okay, no, I'm good on that.
It actually does not say that we are giving it for rent. It only
Well-
says we're giving $500. Yes?
Madam Mayor, with the motion, the way it was written and the way it was read out, was make a check payable out to the High Prairie Recreation Board. I believe that's what you
Yeah,
read.
that's it.
Oh,
It's
wow.
total.
So we'll put the money there to pay for the rent, so that it doesn't go anywhere else.
Okay.
That's correct.
That's right.
So,
That's the motion.
That's why I wanted to clarify.
Yeah.
That's the motion.
Okay. Councillor Panasic, anything else? Councillor Long? Okay. My only comment is I have a problem with telling societies, or for prepaying, well, not prepaying, but it's a matter of trust. I think the society should be handling their own payments, not us passing it over to a third party and saying, well, you know, we made sure that your bill is paid. So, all in favor? Carried. Opposed? Was there any opposed? I didn't see opposed. All right. Next item is the procedure bylaw. Yes. All right, we'll call a 10-minute break.